Hi, welcome to Who Am I Today with Summer D, and today I'm going to be showing you quilts. That's what this whole video is going to be about. So I have inherited a lot of quilts from my grandparents. We had went through my dad passed away. He had my grandparents' house locked up for about 10 years. So that's why on the home tour you're seeing so many things that I've said, like, this is from my parents, this is from my grandparents, and it's just repeated over and over again. And that's because that is the year we're in. So my dad passed away around April, and he had kept my grandparents' house locked for 10 years for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason was, but he just didn't let us go in it. And so me and my sister are just now getting to see these things, and just now getting these things passed down to us, and we're able to use them. But because the house was locked up for 10 years, most things were cleanable and fixable. Some things were not. Some things have had to be thrown away, and I hate that. Really, things should be used all the time, in my personal opinion, and especially going through this. I've always been a big supporter of sustainable living, reusing things. You know, one person's junk is another man's treasure. All of those things like resonate with me. I totally believe in them. And and I just believe everything should be used. And sometimes when things are locked away and stored away, they rot. I mean, just be honest, they rot. And then those things end up in the landfill and nobody got to use them. So I'm really kind of against that. But we've recently discovered, as we're going into my grandparents' house, and we haven't been allowed in 10, maybe a little over 10 years. Not only, were there things to deal with, like smells and different things to deal with, but like the quilts. So the quilts I'm going to show you, I had to do some cleaning on them. So a couple of them are like 100 years old. Some of them, they range, vary. My mother-in-law has given me a few of them, and the majority are from my grandparents. And so they're really cool to see, and there's lots of cool patterns and designs, and I love like the pieces of the old vintage materials and scrap materials that she kept and used. But just want to put this out there: if you've been given quilts, if you've been given things that are hand-me-down, try to find a way to use them in your regular life, because in your everyday life, because if they sit around and they stay in a chest, or a lot of times they just end up rotting, and you never really even get to use them. You never really get to look at them. No one else gets to look at them. Their children won't get to look at them. And so part of preserving things is actually to use them. That's why they say with jewelry, like if you have jewelry and you don't touch it and you're not using it, it turns when it just sits. And so stuff is meant to use. Stuff is always meant to use. And so I always try to keep that in mind. So with these quilts, I was told not to wash them. I was told they're too old and they need to be hanging in a museum. And I do not believe in that. So my personal opinion, and I know everyone has a right to their opinion, I want to use the things that I have been blessed with. I'm switching arms because my arm's getting tired. I want to use the vintage things and vintage items. I don't want them tucked away, sitting somewhere to where I don't get to look at them, or my family don't get to look at them. So I am a maximalist, but I really do keep the frame of mind that everything I have is touchable and usable. And if I feel like it can't go in my home because it can't be touched, then I probably don't need it. So that's just a rule for me that I stick with. So I did wash the quilts. Some of them had mold. Some of them were made with cotton in them, and there were like those little seed things. I thought it was bugs at first. I kind of freaked out, but the lady at the quilt store did say, this is cotton, this is what it's supposed to look like. And I had never seen that before. I guess I'd never had a quilt that old, so that was new to me. And so, but I brought them home and I washed them with baking soda, vinegar, all free and clear. And then to cut some of the smell, I did have to use some Downy. I used that Downy April Fresh, I think it was, fabric softener. And that is pretty much washed out now because I really am not a fabric softener person because it's so much smell. But I just really had to do something about the state they were in. So we washed and washed and washed. And they all turned out beautiful. They're all good. Nothing was hurt by the washing process. and so now my family is able to use them and enjoy them. And so I'm just going to share them with you. And we're going to get started with the Christmas quilts. I know Christmas is over, but I do have 2 Christmas quilts. And so I just included them since they are part of all of the rest. So we'll just get straight into it. And those are just my thoughts on it, on sustainable living, but also just using what you have, making the most of what you have, and not being afraid to use what you have. So many people tuck things away, and I've learned this with my grandparents and my parents. They had so much stuff, so much stuff. I mean, we're talking they kept everything. But the problem with that is because they never passed it down to us sooner. They never let anybody use it sooner. Some of it's being thrown away. Some of it is not savable. Some of it is either too moldy or too damaged or too, it's been set and it's just literally fallen apart. I mean, I picked up a doll at my grandparents' house and the hair fell out of it. So things cannot set. They have to be used. And so I think it's a real shame, to not, like, if those things would have been passed down to me years ago or to my sister years ago, my children could have been using them, and my grandchildren now could be using them. So there are so many things that are lost because of that. So I just want to put that out there, to change that mindset, because when they used to make quilts back in the day, they made them for need. They needed them, so they made them to use. And then somewhere along the way, we didn't need it anymore, and it just started being stored up. And when it started being stored up, no one got to use them, and then things are going bad. So I'm just going to put that out there, my take on it, and what I feel like I have seen and recently seen from everything we've been involved in at my parents' and grandparents'. If I was not a believer of it, I am a firm believer now that everything you have should be used. And if not, someone else should be using it. So keeping that in mind with maximalist living, I try to use everything and try to let people use everything. So anyways, we're going to get straight into it, and I'm going to show you the first quilt. Okay, this is the first one, and starting with those 2 Christmas quilts. I know Christmas is over, and but I just want to start with those first because they are so beautiful and they are part of the collection that I have. So and we are getting to the vintage, so there are vintage quilts, so just bear with me. These 2 are newer. My mother-in-law made this one and the one under it, but she did such a good job, and the famous red truck there that you always see in a lot of the modern Christmas decor. And then I love these colors, the red and green there for the plaid. I thought was really pretty. And this is probably more of a throw because you can see it's not fitting the whole entire bed, but it is still so beautiful. Okay, this is the next one that my mother-in-law made, and she did such a good, she's very, very talented. She, I think, can make any type of quilt, and it's amazing. And so all of these are beautiful. And this one, what's neat about it is, as you see, the lines run up to the top, do you see the difference in the pattern at the very top? Everything is the same except for that very top piece there where the line runs into the circle. So I just thought that was interesting. And she did it a little different. It's green on the back side. And she does not stuff hers with cotton. So my vintage ones, they have the cotton in them. So there are a few differences. Okay, this is the quilt I used in the fall outfit videos that I did. And it has a lot of those good fall colors in it. But I love how my grandma did. She did so many. Oh, we're going the wrong way. She did so many. She just kept all of her scrap pieces of material, and she did so many patchwork quilts that with just all the extra little pieces of material she had. And I love that about it because you never know what you're going to find. Like right there, that's a jack in a box. And then flowers, and you just never know what's going to show up on them. So I just think that is so unique, and it makes them unique and pretty, all those designs and details. So okay, I've had time, this is my third time doing this video, so I have had time to see each one very well by now, and I'm thinking this is my favorite. And the reason why it's my favorite is not because of the colors, but because of the pieces of material that are in it. There is so much going on this quilt. To me, this was like the most intense like pattern she did. I don't even know how she made all these pieces fit perfectly together. But if you'll notice, there are let's see here, there are squares, like, so there's circles in a square, so you've got your square, and so there's circles in a square, but then out beside it you have another square, and the circles are lining the square. And so the whole entire quilt is done like that. I have no idea how she kept track of that. I'm looking at it thinking, man, that had to be confusing. But I absolutely love all of the pieces of material that are in this one. There's so much going on, starting with these little I'm trying to focus with my camera here, and okay, here we go. These little pink pieces have literally like little, let's see, little boys right there in a airplane, and little boys playing a drum, and there's like some trumpets and tents. And then over here, which is kind of upside down, let's look at it. This one has there is like there's a church and a tree, and then there's a girl at her desk. There's like math at the top of it, so like you just never know what you're gonna find on here. This one has little houses in it, and there's a smiley face flower popping out. So I just thought that was really cool, like all the different prints and patterns, and I love mixing prints. And so I thought this quilt just totally brought all of that out. So I feel like this is my favorite one for that reason. And then it is just really beautiful as well. And I'm trying to adjust my camera every time, so that y'all, I've had such a hard time doing this video, and I have literally taken quilts off, folded them, and put them back 3 times to be able to do this. And now my lighting is going down, and there's a train running by, but it's okay because we're going to look at quilts, all of them. Okay, on this one, this is a quilt that my mother-in-law made as well. And so interesting enough, we were planning to move to Sevierville, Tennessee, and she gave us these quilts. So there's one with the churches on them, and one with Cades Cove cabins on it. And she gave those to us like almost when we got married. We've been married 17 years, so very close, I feel like, to around when we got married, not too long after that. And then later on, after everything had happened, all the just tons of crazy things happening, we had decided to move to Sevierville, and then we didn't get to. So that's that move we were supposed to have, we didn't get to have yet. And I am helping with my mom and just still cleaning up properties and doing things like that. And so we haven't had the freedom or the way made to go. So we're still kind of believing for that. It's really thrown us off, but we're kind of still on track with believing for that. But interesting enough, the Cades Cove quilt and the church quilt was given to us years before we ever even thought about living in Sevierville, Tennessee. And so when I got them back out and I was looking at it, and it dawned on me that because we thought about we feel led to ministry. And so between, and my husband wanting a church, so ministry and Cades Cove, which is the area, you know, like we wanted to be near the trails and everything there was to offer in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. So I thought, how interesting is it that those were given to us years before we started believing for Sevierville. So just a little side note, I just find that interesting. But she made this quilt, and it's really neat. I love the black and white kind of classic look, but she put like a different church. Now, let me adjust it. I'm learning which way to work the camera here. So she put a different church into each square. So they're all different ones. I just think that is really cool. So I'll give you a little shot of all of them there. And she just did really, really well on this. And I'm assuming, you know, she had to thread, like hand sew each church. So I feel like that's kind of up there with drawing or something, right? And then of course looking at the top where she added the squares up there. And so I just feel like she did really, really well. She does really well on all of them, but this one's a really neat one as well. All right. So on this quilt, this is one of the vintage, I think it was about 100 years old is what the lady thought. I took it to a quilt shop and just asked her about it. So when I first got it, I washed it and there were these little black things all in it, and I thought it was bugs, and I kind of freaked out, but it wasn't. So apparently my grandma used real cotton, and it still had the seeds in it, and I have never seen that before. We've been, if you buy comforters at Target or Walmart or whatever, you just don't see that. And even in the ones my mother-in-law does, she doesn't put the cotton in them. So this was the first time I had seen this, and so I was just like, oh no, what is this? So anyway, we cleared it up, and she said, this is real cotton. These are the seeds. And and then some interesting facts about this one is she believed that these squares were made from, some of them were made from the feed bags or flour bags. So apparently back in the day, they would get their flour bags or their meal, and the people who sold the meal would put them in pretty bags, pretty pattern bags, so that it would make them want to buy them, and then they would be able to take those bags home and make quilts and things out of them. So that was what was told to me. So I'm not sure, but I thought that was very interesting. So she believed that some of these were made from those old meal bags as well. So I thought that was really cool. And I don't know if it's that way on any of the others, because this is the only one that I talked to her about. But anyway, and they were pretty bad when I got them. This one and another one was really, there was a smell. There was an odor because my grandparents' house had been shut up for 10 plus years. And so there was a smell, but then also there was some, I felt like mold. There was some dingy to them. And so what I did was, she didn't want me to wash them, and I said, look, we can't sleep with mold and dirt, we have to wash them. So I used vinegar and baking soda and all free and clear detergent, and then I also used cold water, and I used something called color grabbers, and you can put it in there in your machine, and it grabs colors so no colors run. And so that's how I cleaned them, and I did have to wash this one about 3 or 4 times to get all of that out of it, but it turned out really beautiful. Not one was lost in the washing process, so they all turned out really beautiful, and they're preserved now, I feel like, and so we're able to use them, and I love each one of them. But here's the backing on this one. And so you can see where it's they're a little lumpy. So the ones that the cotton was used in the back is kind of a little bit lumpier. And I just love all of these prints and patterns. I just absolutely love all of these, and I just think that is really neat. I always like to pick my favorites. I feel like this one's probably my favorite right here. I like the colors in it. But okay, on this one, this is the most lumpy one. So this one, when I got it, it already had so many lumps, and so, but I kept it anyway because it is still so beautiful. And I mean, you can see, like, even looking right there, you can see where it's the pieces are sticking up, and that is the cotton that has got lumpy inside there. But this one reminds me of the coast, so that keeping that whole fisherman aesthetic and like the coast of Maine, I feel like this fits in very well with that. And that's probably how I would style it in the spring or summer. That's what it reminds me of because of the colors and that light blue color. And this one did have it was the only one that I really had with I feel like a noticeable stain on the front of it that was already there. But if you like vintage and you have it and you know anything about it, sometimes vintage items just have stains, and that's the way it is. Okay, and before we get to the next quilt, does anyone know what this type of blanket is called? So this is very vintage, and it is it looks like kind of like a waffle knit, but it is very, very soft material. And there is like a satin trim with the little embroidered flowers on the edges. And this was a piece I got from my grandma's as well, but we don't know how to look them up. Like me and my daughter, we love these, and you don't see them. I don't ever see them like at Walmart or Target or any store, actually. I don't see them in any of the basic stores, main stores that we have. And so I don't know what they're called to look them up. So if you know what they're called, let me know. But we love these blankets, and we just I remembered them from when I was younger. They're just a super soft, like they're just like the perfect blanket. Okay, there was a vintage Sears tag on that blanket I just asked you about. It doesn't say what the blanket is called, but it was like probably a tag from the 70s, which was interesting and cool. So moving on, this quilt my mother-in-law made, and I absolutely love the browns and yellows on this one. To me, it is it could be either spring or fall, but it kind of has a prairie style vibe to me, with like the little flowers and then the butterflies. I just think this one is really super gorgeous. It's probably, I don't know, it's hard for me to always pick my favorites. I know that one quilt that had all the different pieces in it was amazing, but it is really hard to pick favorites because they're all so good. All right, this one is actually, so most of these quilts, the ones that my grandma made, were a full size. They fit a full size bed. So I think, because my dad's old bed was full, I think that all of their beds in the beginning were full size beds, and then, you know, later on they upgraded and they went to queen size. But the majority of them I've noticed have been a smaller fit, and so this one actually fits this queen size bed, so it is bigger. So this must be, maybe she made this one of the later ones, whenever you know, she upgraded. And then it also does not have the cotton, but interesting enough, it does have like there's a flower pattern on the inside of it, almost like she used, I don't know if you can you see that on there? Almost like she used a blanket on the inside of it, or yeah, or like the back of a, you know, like it's the blanket's flipped around backwards or something. I don't know. There's a flower pattern on the inside. And so I thought that was interesting and cool. And this one kind of also hits that coastal look to me, because of all of these prints look like they just remind me of sailboats to me. So, but you could also go prairie with it because of the little flowers as well. But I see coastal when I look at this one. But each one just is so unique and different. Okay, this is another oldie, and it's a little lumpy from the cotton, but not too bad. Not as much as that blue one was. Most of them lay down pretty nicely. It is like a pale yellow. I don't know if that's really showing up in the camera, but the solid squares are a pale yellow. And then it just has all of these individual squares in it, which once again, I just think are so, I always turn the camera up instead of down for some reason. Eventually I will learn. But I just think some of the pieces in here are so pretty and so cute and so unique. So just giving you a little glance at all those vintage pieces of material. Really falls under a lot of the whimsical style too. I feel like a lot of the pieces that my grandmother used in the quilts really had kind of a whimsical, kind of quirky look to it, which is very interesting to me. All right, we have two more after this one. This one is like the perfect star pattern quilt. Its layout is just like all perfect and in line, but I'm just amazed at how people put like all of these pieces together. Like they continue, because you start with one corner and you continue, but you have to match them all, and so that's just amazing to me. So I really appreciate that. But I think this one's so well done, and once again, just all those little pieces that are in there. And I don't know anything about the patterns, so if y'all know any of the patterns, you can let me know what they are. But I did just think they're just so pretty and neat to look at, and and just, it's like every time you look at them, you see something different in there. So it's really cool. And I would probably use this one for the 4th of July. I feel like it to me hits kind of around the summertime. Picnicky, it could be like picnic or 4th of July. That's the era that I feel like is or the area I feel like this one is fitting in with. All right, on this one, that beautiful star pattern again, but this one just has all those pops of red. And also to me, it feels like a summertime quilt, but also could be tied in with Christmas too, I feel like, depending on what you put with it. But so you could go either way, but I just love the colors in this one as well. And just the pattern is very beautiful. This one and the peach quilt and this one, I feel like are probably the oldest. They were, for whatever reason, not in the linen closet, but they were tucked away in, like, I think one was in a chest and one was in an armoire. So for whatever reason, they were kept separate. And so that makes me think they were a little older. And they were also the two that we had to clean the most. So anyways, but they turned out fabulous. They look wonderful. And so I'm so excited about them. Okay, last one. This is the quilt I was saying that my mother-in-law made that had the Cades Cove cabins on it. And so I have used this one. Everything that I got from my grandparents I didn't get until this year. And when I say this year, is the last day of 2025. So this year, 2025, I got all of my inheritance quilts. But before that, I had the ones from my mother-in-law. So this we have used repeatedly for the fall. And then we would put that church quilt on for the winter. But so anyway, I just thought it was very interesting. So it literally has like, let's see here. It has all the like little Cades Cove cabins on it, and it tells you the names of them, and I think that is really neat. There's one, and then there's one right there, and then moving up this way we got one there. If you have never been to Cades Cove, I hope you get to go. I absolutely love Cades Cove. I grew up going. It's like an 11-mile loop of just fields, and there's trails in there. There's a rest stop for like a restroom, but it's just like, it is so pretty. There's horses a lot of times in there. Sometimes you get to see a bear will be climbing a tree or something, and you'll get to see that, and deer. And so it's just a neat place to go to visit. And so anyways, I'm going to flip the camera around so I can finish out the video looking at you. All right, well, that sums up the quilt collection. So I hope you've enjoyed looking at them with me. It's very interesting, since I've tried to do this video 3 times today, that I have really been able to examine them each and every time. So I know what's going on now and all the patterns, so I think it's pretty neat. And I just absolutely love the different patterns and the different prints and the unique pieces of material with the pictures on them that you don't see anymore. I think that's neat. Probably my favorite part. That's probably my favorite part of it. And then too, I just want to say, if you're thinking, man, you know, I wished I had some quilts like that, I was going to say, ask God. Just pray about it. I know that sounds silly. Like, some people think that's silly, but you literally can talk to God about everything. And when I was working in a state, they had a lot of quilts that I really wanted one. And I had been looking at the thrift stores and stuff and couldn't find one. And I was, you know how if you're a thrifter, you like to thrift and you love to thrift new home decor. And so quilts, you know, I wanted new ones to switch out and different seasons and stuff. So I was working this estate, and they had $160 on them, and they are worth that. It's not that they're not, but I just could not pay that. So I did not get one. And so I just asked God, I said, God, I really would like some quilts like that. And I won't say I was heartbroken over them, but like, I really wanted one, you know? And it was just something that I liked. And God cares about our likes. And so so anyways, I did not realize that when, you know, I was thinking like, you know, 2 or 3, but whenever we went in to clean my grandmother's house, I didn't realize that I was going to be gifted with so many of them. So God like supplied an overabundance of quilts. So just because I said I really would like to have some of those. And so I just want to put that out there that, you know, God cares about what you like, and God does not care whether or not we have stuff. He cares if the stuff has us. I heard a pastor say that. She said, as long as the stuff does not have you, he does not care if you have stuff. So I thought that was interesting, and what a good way of putting it. But yeah, so God cares about all of the little things as well as the big things. And so just want to leave you with that, and just tell you thank you for coming and watching and looking at each one of these with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and just saw some really neat things that were interesting. Maybe it brought back the nostalgia of something you had, or maybe it's just neat to see because you haven't seen those patterns before, or maybe you're a quilter and you know what every single one of these are. So anyways, you can let me know in the comments and let me know which one was your favorite. And I will see you on the next video. The next video is a room tour of this room, showing you the other vintage items and things that we have going on in this room. And so I will see you on that one. And if you like the video, hit like and subscribe. Keep helping me grow my channel. And I'm so excited for the subscribers that I already have. I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm thankful that you're I'm excited. So we're going to keep moving forward, and I will see you on that next one. Thank you. Bye.